Welcome to Curito Connects. I'm your host, Jenn, and I've been conversing with friends around the world about life challenges and impactful moments. Conversations on this platform look at answering the questions, how we overcome challenges and how our experiences shape who we are and the work we do today. I hope this work can inspire you on your own personal and individual journey. Let's dive right in. Hello, my guest today is Hungarian bred, London raised, Hong Kong groomed, Taiwan based, Zoltan Konczol. Zoltan is a brand ambassador for Campari and brand education manager at Campari Academy Lead in Asia. Oh, that's a mouthful. He is also the founder of Breathrise Mindful Mixology, a company that focuses on wellness to help burnt out individuals build resilience and unlock their peak performance. Hi, Zoltan, and welcome to Curito Connects.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So fun fact, Zoltan and I connected during the pandemic through our mutual friend, Grant. So shout out to Grant, who now
Hi, Grant.
Has left us in Asia and is living his best life in Vegas. Zoltan is here with us today to share his journey of, well, should I say his adventurous life. From his humble beginnings in Budapest to the nightlife in the streets of London, to the hustling Hong Kong city life, to now Taipei. He will dive into how he was led on the wrong path in life, quote unquote, like that's your version.
It could be.
Yeah, and how breathwork saved him and why he is so passionate about sharing this practice with more individuals. So without further ado, Zoltan, I will pass the microphone to you to share your story with us.
Thank you, Jen. And again, thanks for the invite. Pleasure to be here. And how small the world is, no? With Grant. So I know Grant. We did a big event, Cirque du Soleil, with Aperol Spritz, and he was the project manager. Mm-hmm. And I knew him from another lady who I met, and then, anyway, the world is small.
The world is very small.
So
yes. All 6 degrees
it's good for connecting,
Yes.
So you're doing a very well job with this, actually.
So tell us.
Yeah, so I was born in a very small city in Hungary. Actually, that's one of the richest part in Hungary. Like back in the day, in the 80s, my dad had a video disco, the only video disco with VHS, Bee Gees, TV on the top of the bar, and everybody was dancing, because that was the region when East and West Germany could reunite. So after the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s, my dad unfortunately lost the nightclub. However, it still stayed actually the little city, like quite a magical point of Hungary. So it's like everybody goes. It's the biggest lake in Europe, actually. So we call it the Hungarian Sea.
The
Hungarian Sea. Like it's very good for sailing, and lots of people go there. It's international. But it's very small. So what do you do there? You have 3 months of season, and after that there is nothing to do. So, of course, the boredom and everything it stick on me a little bit. It was a beautiful childhood, honestly. Like I had amazing parents and good childhood what everybody can dream of. Like going fishing and everything. So I had an amazing time. However, when I was 14, I went to Catholic boarding school.
Oh,
Catholic boarding school because I was a little bit of a rebel, So I think my parents thought that he's gonna learn something there. Well, I learned, but probably not the good things, So it was near the Serbian border, but there was a Croatian war. So I think that was like a collection of the worst kids possible, they just put everybody there, like you learn something, religion, and then, it put a stamp on me actually, because I've never been to church ever since, I think.
So what did you do? Did you get expelled from school? Or what caused you to it sounds like 14 was the time where you got sent off to this school and then suddenly...
Yeah, so I stayed 1 year there, and then... Yeah, it was just didn't go to school really, we had better things to do most of the time.
So you basically just didn't go to class?
I didn't go to class, no, we didn't, no.
So they kicked you out?
Pretty much. So, and then I went back to Balatonfüred, which was my original city. I had 3 high schools there. So pretty much I never finished high school. And I got into like, we've been always like, smoking, drinking when you were 12, 13 years old, like quite young, honestly.
No, I
Eastern Europe, Eastern Europe,
I don't recall this, but okay, I guess in certain places that's what you do when you're 12 and 13.
Yeah, and then around like 15, 16, I got into drugs pretty heavily. But like parties, it's like nothing like, my hardcore drugs.
Just readily accessible to
readily accessible,
young
like, rave.
To use. Oh, okay.
The rave scene was actually booming in Hungary. That's when it all started. So we basically went around Europe in trains. We had interrail fake tickets, and we could just travel Europe. And then we just started to bring stuff back to Hungary, right? So, but of course, you are not very smart when you're a kid, right? So got arrested when I was like 17, I think. I don't even remember anymore, but very young, so a teenager.
Okay, so your parents were just like, we don't know what to do with you?
Yeah, pretty much. So 4 years of high school, and then they didn't finish. And then in the end of the high school, just before finishing, like I got arrested. And then it was New Year, Christmas Eve, the whole family home, and the police came in, and it was a kind of a trauma for the whole family, I think.
Including yourself?
But of course, And then when I got out, I didn't get any sentence on anything, but on parole. And then I moved to Budapest. I stayed there for 1 year, and then I moved to London after because just nothing to do in Hungary. And that time I thought it's better to escape. So I thought I can escape myself moving away from the past, which was not the truth. It was you can't run away from the past.
You can't. It catches up with you.
It catches up on you, yeah.
So now we're in like chapter 2, right? So it's like you leave Hungary. Now you're in London. You're a young teenager, not even 20 yet.
No.
What does a young teenager with no degree living in London at the time, like what was going in what was going on in your head in terms of what am I doing here? What kind of life am I going to create here? And how did you go about
of course,
figuring that out?
So basically, like I never wanted to be in hospitality because my mom was in hospitality, my dad was in hospitality, but when I moved to London, I was a bartender back in Hungary as well. TGI Fridays when I started, and actually I loved it. So I was like, I'm a people person, like always know how to talk to people, and I wanted to learn bartending. So London was the place to be. That was the prime time of bartending. There was no internet. Literally, we had a phone card. We went with my paper CV. And got into bars and hi, this is me. Take. We used internet cafes with to send and create your own bullshit CVs, But I had my dream where I want to work. So, and I climbed this ladder. So I started at Coco in Camden Town. That was my first job. After third day or fourth day, I arrived to London. I went in. I had £100. I remember it was £15 was the entry. So everybody, all my friends, they were like, are you going to spend that much money to go in? I was like, yes. So I went in with my CV and I give it to the bar manager. I remember Valentina, and she was like, are you looking for a job? And I was like, I didn't speak any English, But I was a good bartender, so they knew exactly what. So all these years I climbed the ladder and I became a professional bartender, That was my dream. That really was my dream, which I achieved actually. So I opened my company. After events company in London, so it was pretty much a success story. But the problem was that it was nightlife. So all these years, I stayed 12 years in London. So 15 years at night, doing the same thing, drinking, drugs, smoking as well back in the day. So it catches up on you. You cannot have a proper relationship. You cannot, you know, you grew up, you're growing up, and then you realize that, is this really what I want?
So you also just picked up your English while you were bartending, while you were there.
Correct. Yeah.
Very street smart.
Street smart, and yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I would
Right?
say.
Well, I mean, I think that's what it is. So, what happens now, right? You're like successful. You know, it's kind of if you're in the field of bartending, this is kind of ideally what you're doing. You're in the nightlife scene in London. You have access to all the top places. You're bartending. You know the clientele. You started your own
100%.
events company. Then what happened?
Then, actually, my friend was here last week, Fabian. We used to live together, and he went for a backpacking trip in Asia. I've been traveling as well, so I've been to Mexico in there, you know, like when I was 18, you know, so on my own, actually with Zoltan, with my friend, to Vietnam. So I always been easy going on traveling, you know. But we lived together for a bit, and then he left for a backpacking trip to Asia, to Hong Kong. And 1 month later, he called me that he's opening a bar called Honey Honey. And what if I'm joining him? So I didn't think too much. So I think I said yes on the phone call. And he was like, do you want to think about it? I was like, no, like I'm coming to Hong Kong. Yeah, it was, honestly, it was a good decision because London started to be very overwhelming. I had a lot of issues with alcohol, and you know, I went really down a little bit. I started to realize that I have an issue with substances and stuff. So I went to Hong Kong. Yeah.
Can you share with us some of these issues that you discovered you were having? Was it like anger, rage, or was it just like you were hungover all the time? Did you run across any health issues during that period of time? Did you get into any incidents that kind of was like a wake-up call for you? Like, what were there certain moments or certain incidences that was kind of like a slap in the face for you, that where you're like, okay, I need to get out of here. I need a change of scenery.
In London, it was a few people. Yes, a few friends of mine died, motorbike accidents. But actually, the real slap was in Asia, when a very good friend of mine died, when my dad passed away, and then I had some serious autoimmune issues like arthritis, which I was not aware that all these catches up on you. So in London, I just realized that I really don't want to live with 15 people anymore. We've been always partying, and I was always the hardcore person because I could do even more than what everybody did. I was always the person who stayed up the latest. I was a person who was always up the earliest and going. So I was still doing exercise all the time, but in the same time, I was a machine. So I'm a very red person. So I'm like, you can't go too long with this, you know. So it's common sense. But the real slap was in Asia. Yeah.
So when you left London and you came to Hong Kong, what happened in Hong Kong for you? You know, you were helping out your friend's bar as a bartender.
Yeah.
And then eventually you somehow went into corporate.
Yeah.
Like, well, how was that transition? And was that something you were looking to do, or it just kind of happened serendipitously?
Honestly, Jenn, I really believe in manifestation. You know, when you say something to the universe, it will come to you. You just have to be open to it, right? So this happened to me in London. This happened to me everywhere. When I wanted to achieve something, you can, if you are open to it. You know, like you eventually going to meet a person who knows somebody. You're eventually going to meet, or a door opens up when you least expect it. You know, like, but in Hong Kong, when we opened Honey Honey, it wasn't an easy time. It was a fun time, but it wasn't an easy time. it was Hong Kong prime time, right? But again, I had a girlfriend, didn't like when I was working at night. I didn't like to work at night anymore either, So I went to open a bar in Macau, another nightclub. It happened for a year, and then it was a disaster story. But when I moved back to Hong Kong without any jobs or anything, I was just like that's it, I'm done. So I moved back, and a very good friend of mine, Joe Villanueva, he called me and he was like, "Do you want to have my job as a BA?" He was there for like a month or two. I don't remember how long, but and then I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can try." And when I went in for an interview, I told the story that my dad was the illegal Campari brand ambassador in Hungary because he couldn't pour any Western products in Hungary that day. We were serving Campari sodas from the bottom of the bar, right? My mom was drinking during lunchtime. My mom was drinking the red orange juice. I was drinking the yellow orange juice. So Campari was with us since childhood, right? So I told this story that this is me. So that's why I won the job. And it was like, okay, I think there was like a few applicants, but I got the job straight away. And I rolled. And now I'm in a corporate and senior position. It was 10 years ago. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit because I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit about working in the nightlife industry, right? So I think normally when we think of nightlife, when we think of the alcohol beverage industry, it's not necessarily a very positive, I think there's tend to be like a negative. It's like, oh, nightlife, like that's, only the bad kids go there, or are drinking, et cetera, et cetera. And you've been in this field for so long now that you've seen it have its heyday, and it's now kind of declining. As we all know, we keep seeing articles about how non-alcoholic drinks are really in, and that's what Gen Z is all about. So if you could share with us a little bit about your time in this field and what you've seen, and what you've learned personally as well.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. Yeah, actually, it's very interesting because I would be a biggest hypocrite if to say like to people to don't drink, right? So I'm still, promoting alcohol and I'm working in this business. But the issue in here is like some people can handle, like this. I don't think in the long run, being in a nightlife is healthy. However, you can balance it out. Especially I'm building this whole company and Breathrise around that, with healthy habits, you can balance this out. But for me, it was a turning point when I realized that I'm drinking every night, and it's been 15 years, and it's been 20 years, and I didn't know how to stop this, right? So it was a hard stop for me. It was like, it's either this or that, So I had to cut it loose, and I wanted to do something else, I wanted to have I wanted to explore different. However, I still think bartending and hospitality is one of the most rewarding industry you can be at. You can travel the world. You speak the same language, no matter where you go. If you're a bartender in New York, if you're a bartender in Hong Kong or here, you speak the same language. It's unbelievable how united this industry is. However, now we're facing difficulties because the young generation, they don't see it this way sometimes because they think this is a little bit of a toxic environment. And we are responsible for that at some point because we were the ones who were going crazy and then drinking behind the bar and all that. So it all shifted, and it's all shifting now into something with professional bartending, which we always promoted, right? But I think it needs a change into a healthier industry because it's possible. I think it's possible. And the old school bartending, when you want it to be 100% professional, it's not many people out there anymore. So this is what we are trying to put back. But yeah, back in the day, in the early 2000s, if you were a bartender, that was your career. Yeah, but it's in the long run, it's difficult when you age.
There is a timeline. You do
There's a
age.
timeline.
So now we're at this next chapter where, you know, you've been at Campari and you're still there. You were in Hong Kong. What made you decide you were ready to leave Hong Kong to say, I want to be relocated to another marketplace? And why did you choose Taiwan? That's my first question. Then my second question is, during that transition period, how did you get into this whole other like sector, which is the whole wellness side, right? You suddenly had this very strong passion, desire to study and learn more about breath work, you know, about peptides, about all these things that you've been studying for the last few years. And how do you balance between that with your
Because you have to.
so if you can share that with us.
Yeah, thank you. Very good question, actually. I think this is a progress in life, right? So basically, like, I was always a sportive guy, right? So I was always doing love nature. I'm from nature. I'm from the countryside, right? So I was always into big hikes. You know, bodybuilding was always there for me, on and off. Because sometimes when you know you are having this. When I was working at Fabric for 3 years, like you start at 10 p.m. until like midday. You don't really do it, but I think in Hong Kong when I started to be very serious. So I passed lots of like certifications of personal training, bodybuilding, performance enhancement. You know, like all these kind of. I wanted to go to pharmacology at some point. You know, started to study that. You know, so it's all formed into something which I realized on myself that if I don't change now, it's going to be very difficult to change later, you know, when you age. So it's progressively, I started to be healthier.
But what made you want to change?
Until a point, because, yeah, until a point, the big change happened actually 4 years ago when my dad passed away. One very good friend of mine passed away. There was lots of situations in life what was a trigger and trauma, and I started to get into more serious gym sessions and everything, and I couldn't do it because I had pain and more pain and more pain and more pain. And I realized when I drink beer, for example, it flares up. So I was like, this is not normal. I had some dental issues, you know. So it's slowly started to, your body reacts to it, right? So your body's sending signs. And when it sends signs, probably is already a little bit late, you know. But I was reading this science quite early, so I was like, okay, go. And well, arthritis was not that early, so I went to doctors, and they said they give me 3 pills that this is a incurable disease. These are the pills. This is what you need to take the rest of your life. So I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm sorry. Can I say this? I'm not gonna do this. So that's when I started to do mindfulness into a bit more on meditation, which is it's not possible for me. My mind is just everywhere. And a very good friend of mine, she introduced me to breath work. And within 3 months of practicing, the pain basically faded. I have no more flare-ups. I sleep better. And that's when I realized that actually there is lots of things from my childhood what I need to understand and release. And now I'm more open to those conversations, what when you're a bartender, you don't really have. You know, you don't really sit down with your colleagues and talk about it's a party time. So now I opened up more into this because I had to, and that I think breathwork, and it's a complex, a 360, it's a whole lot of things, right? So yeah.
But isn't bartenders like therapists, right? When people go in for their drinks, you guys are constantly listening to people's stories.
100%. But this is exactly what sometimes backfires. This is the beauty of it, Jenn, because you can read people. You know exactly. And I'm still benefiting from this in my corporate world because I really believe I can see what people need. But this can go into people pleasing because you always have to smile. You're always there. You always need to. And so you're losing yourself during this, right? So, and this is something which I build Breathrise and mindful mixology on, that you have to address your feelings, especially with a smile-driven industry, when you have to smile 12 hours, no matter how tired you are, no matter if you are divorcing, if you have a sick kid at home, you still need to go to work. Because that's your bar, that's your other baby. If you are not there, then nothing is going to work. You know, like you have to have your best self. And that's when alcohol comes in. That's when drugs comes in, because you cannot just cope with it by yourself. So you reach to things, but all these things are just a very short quick fix. And the next day you feel even more shit than you felt. And it's just this vicious circle. So that's why I realized that this has to stop.
Can you share that moment where this friend of yours who introduced you to breathwork, and when you started entering, the field of breathwork, what was the most, I don't want to say like triggering, but memorable, that was kind of like an aha for you? It's like, oh shit. Like you were, whether it was like you were in tears afterwards or you were having a panic attack. What was it that made you realize like, oh gosh, this is like a very natural way for me to not be in pain, not be in physical pain. I'm not hiding anymore my feelings of whatever was, really deep down that you didn't really know was there, or that you were not addressing, like you weren't facing it. And that breath work was a safe space for you, and like you said earlier, meditation didn't work for you. Some people find weight training as a way of meditation, right?
Yeah.
There are many formats of what could be Zen for an individual, right? It could be yoga, it could be running, it could be, but what was it about breath work that really, I don't know if I can use the word like hooked you on? I mean, you switched from alcohol and drugs to breath work. But for you, I guess if you could share, because I think not many people, when they think breath work, they probably think like, okay, it's a breathing exercise, how is it that a simple breathing exercise could help me get deep enough to really benefit or see the changes or unveil these things? So I was just wondering if you could share with us your own personal experience with that.
100%. So thank you for the question. Actually, this is on point, because this is actually what I am researching now, like what actually happened. For a very long time, I didn't know that I feel like this. I went through, it's called a transformational breath work, which is a 3-hour session. And basically you are shutting down the blood flow to your prefrontal cortex, which is like your monkey brain. So your ego is shut down, and you can have these psychedelic effects. Your trauma of your childhood comes out. You realize things about yourself just by breathing, just by an altered consciousness, not with substances, but by your own will of altering your breath, right? So this was the first thing. So I realized that, oh my God, that I feel guilty because all my beautiful parents had to go through all this. It's a small town, are being arrested because of dealing with drugs. not finishing high school, moving away, still partying, like I felt like I'm the worst son it's possible, right? I was not a bad person, but I was just like reckless. So I was like, Jesus Christ, what is going on? So this kind of stuff was just, it just came to the surface. So I had to face this and honestly face it in myself, because all these traumas, it stays within your body. And I realized that actually my dad had traumas, what actually he passed to us without realizing. So your body is storing all this. So I realized that actually I have to get rid of all this, what my ancestors had, my grandmother, all this, and you can do it through breath work. But this is the long, it's a long process, but it's possible. But what actually was the very big transformation for me is when I started this functional breath work, which is I started to study the CO2 effects on your body, that actually how does it affect how to balance your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And you don't need to have these 3-hour sessions. You don't need to, it's just breath awareness. It's just literally being aware of what you do when you breathe. Just don't reach your phone in the morning. So all these small little habits. I developed panic attacks when I was about like 20. So I hate to go into tunnels driving. It was very serious for me. So it was limiting my everyday life. I didn't know when it's going to happen. And it just freeze response, like cold sweat. I don't know how to get out. Then it developed into hypochondria, like I was going into to check myself. I was pretty sure I'm sick, but you don't tell this to anybody, right? So it's like, it's something which is inside you, and you don't say this because you're ashamed of it, right? And this is what the transformational breathwork can help. But the actual thing, what really helped, it was the small habits what I included in my daily habits. So when I felt like there is some stress response coming in, and back in the day, 2,000 years ago, when your nervous system fired up, it was when a lion was in the room. Now, when somebody looked at you badly, it fires up the same way. Your body doesn't know the difference between a lion and its conscious nervous system activated the sympathetic nervous system. This is a disaster for all of us, and that's why we are living in a mental health crisis. So I started to do these daily exercises, and now I have the tools how to cope with anything that comes on my way. And this gives you an amazing advantage and something in your life which you can rely on, and this works. So I don't have any more panic attacks. I don't have any. It's like if there is a stressful situation, I know how to slow down my heartbeat. So it's a slow thing, right? But it can be a profound effect in your life.
You're a reborn person.
Pretty much.
So what are I don't know if this is something that you can summarize, because I'm sure it's something within the line of work that you offer in your workshops and your sessions, but what are some of the simple tools that can be easily applied on a day-to-day base, like that you use for yourself? And also, how has this changed the way you show up for work, right? Like that, because you're still employed by Campari at the moment. And so how do you balance the two? And, you still have to do your occasional evening workshop drinking sessions and attend the expos, etc. And so how do you balance that?
How do I balance that? Actually, I'm very lucky because Campari is very welcoming on this. So being the education manager for Campari Academy, actually, I'm doing speeches about wellness as well, right? So it's something which I think is well needed in the industry, because we are not saying that don't drink excessively, don't drink, and if you do, then you should know that how to quickly erase that from your body, how your body works, right? And by breathing, is 70% of your detoxification is by breath. Like actually the fat metabolism, you breathe out fat. So if you know this kind of basic physiology of breathing, and then you imply the daily habits, which is when you wake up. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't reach for my phone for 1 hour now, sometimes 2 hours. Sometimes go to the gym and don't have anything. I download the podcast the night before, and then I just put it on, but my phone is on airplane mode, because as soon as this is a big problem in our society, modern life, you know, especially in the nightlife, you know, you are stressed all day or all night. Now, when you wake up, what do? You straight away switch on your phone. So your body, again, doesn't know the difference between, it just fires up your sympathetic nervous system like crazy. So basically, like you are in this chronic stress 24/7. Even when you go to sleep because you had alcohol, you breathe through your mouth, most likely, because you are exhausted, you're passing out. So it's just a chronic problem that affects not just your stress response, but it affects your cardiovascular systems. It affects everything in your body. If you don't sleep well, it is a big problem, and it starts there. So there we go. First, I don't reach for my phone. Then I don't do any more 3-hour breathwork sessions. Only when I really need it. You know, when I'm overwhelmed, when I'm like, I feel like a little bit burned out. You know, then you do, and then it resets. But it's been a while. So, and then in the morning, I just have a little bit of, when you slow down your breath, when you get out, and that's why I love to be in Taiwan. You know, you get out, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. There is a lot of things to be grateful for, and this gratitude. And now, because you don't constantly checking your phone and everything, you're going back a little bit of that roots, what happened when I was a kid. You know, like you dream, you think, and when you're doing the dishes, it's like you actually think, and I'm not reacting anymore. Actually, there's a quote I wanted to read. It's from Carl Jung. He said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will die like your life, and you will call it fate. So once you realize that how you react to things, when somebody cuts in front of you when you're driving, it's not intentional from them, but you can direct your response. How do you react? You're going to tell them with the middle finger, and you're going to be stressed for the next half an hour, or you will breathe, you will slow down your breath and let it go. When you do your dishes, how do you do your dishes? You're going to go and say shit, fuck 4 times because you don't want to do the dishes, and you're going to do those dishes that way, or you're going to do the dishes consciously saying that, oh my God, I can afford those dishes. It's been 30 years, I can buy my own dishes. And actually, I'm going to put them away because I prefer tidy kitchen. And this is exactly, you have to do it anyway, right? So this is what every day, and this comes from breathing. It's by science, right? So it's not I'm saying this. This was a profound effect on my life, but science backed me up on this. So that's why I got hooked up on breath work, because it's not just breathing. It's the 360 of your life.
So I know that in the last year and a half, 2 years, you've been doing some workshops and tapping into combining your, like your F&B and bartending lifestyle with Breathrise and Mixology. Yeah. What have been some of the responses you've received from people in the field?
Yeah. So thank you. Very good question, actually, because it's not an easy project.
Sell.
It's not an easy sell, right? But first of all, lead by example, right? So once I tell my story, then people realize that actually it's possible. And more people, go for a run after a shift. You don't drink because you go for a run. So the response is positive, 100%. However, is to build a business on it, it's still difficult. But I think more and more people are becoming quite conscious of this, and there is a need in our industry to bring the good people back to our industry and show them that it's not all about booze, it's not all about party, it's all about connections, because this is what's actually missing in our life as well since COVID, right? We understand that there's lots of things happen, which is like you can work from home, amazing. But in the same time, you don't interact with people. In bars, you do this. So in bars, you can create communities. So I think if you're shifting all these communities from that huge party life into conscious, even drinking, conscious consumption and more quality and more quality conversations as well, then I think there is a big future of all this. So far, yes, people like it. I need to do more events.
Well, I'm sure there are many people who actually also probably resonate with you after hearing your story. They probably also feel the same, right? Like that they've been working in the industry for a long time. They've worked many hours. Their body at some point is telling them otherwise as well, and knowing what kind of tools they can have to help them with this, right? So we are kind of coming short on time.
Sure.
So, but I still have my remaining questions for you. So do you want me to ask you one by one, or you want me to just throw all three questions at you?
You can throw it. Go for it.
Okay. So the first question is, what would you tell the audience, like what 2 cents would you tell the audience who are listening to this episode or who like relate to your story? What kind of advice or suggestion would you give them? And if you don't have one, you can. I think another way I ask this question is, what would you tell your younger self what you know now? So that's my first question.
Okay.
The second question is, what resources over the years, which I know you have a lot because you're also secretly a geek and love to read and love to listen, etc. But what are some of the top ones that come to mind that have helped you along your journey? So whether it's like an author, a book, a podcast,
Sure.
A mentor, someone who's taught you breathwork, for instance, that you would recommend as a resource. And then the last one is, what's my last one? I'm going to have to think about my last one.
Okay,
so I'm going
sure.
to let you answer those two first.
So what would I tell to my younger self, or anybody who is coming into this space? I think I didn't regret anything what happened in my life, because there's the reason I'm here. Otherwise, it would never. I wouldn't be here. However, I think relationships-wise, you have to nurture. It's okay to say sorry, and be more open to communicate and be more open. And I think breath work helped me to do that more openly. So I don't say it was late, but no matter how old you are, no matter how you can always and just follow the passion, and then I think breathwork can fuel that. So for my younger self, I could start this a little bit earlier, but again, here I am because of this. And regarding, I hope I answered the question.
Oh, there's no right or wrong way of answering it. So yes.
And for resources, so the Breath Masters, that was my first one with Brian Kelly, 9D breathwork from Bali. So he was one of my hero, and then that's when I started reading. And you remember earlier we talked about James Nestor's breath, and the importance of nose breathing. It was an amazing, and Shavi Rama, it's called The Science of Breath. It's a book which actually opens your mind of how old, ancient breathwork is. It's like it is the only autonomous system in your body what you can Konczol. And this is unbelievable, you know, and the yogis, the pranayama, the qigong in here in China and everywhere so it's very well rooted for thousands and thousands of years. So this is amazing. Yeah. And now I have a new book which is called The Body by Breath. Jill Milner, she is more teaching about the diaphragmic breathing. So there's so many out there. But yeah, Huberman was one. He very recently had a podcast out there about breathing. And I don't have my phone, but yeah, it's full on.
Okay. I remember my third question.
Sure.
What keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded?
What keeps you grounded?
What keeps me grounded?
Is it what we discussed in the last 40 minutes?
It's my past. Yeah, it's my past, actually, you know.
That's what keeps you grounded, your past.
Yeah, because I don't want to be like that anymore, right? So that definitely keeps me grounded. Breath work is keeping me grounded. Of course, I'm lifting from the ground time to time. So I'm not saying no to, you know, but at the moment, I want to progress Breathrise. I want to progress my knowledge because I think it's worth to share. And I think I add value in the industry that everybody can benefit. So if I don't do this, I want to give back, honestly. I want to give back. So I think it gives me a drive and a purpose enough to be grounded.
Fair enough. I think that's very solid. Very solid. Okay, so those were my 3 questions, and I don't have any more. But I would love you to talk a little bit about Breathrise before we finish off here, just to introduce it, let people know how they can reach out for sessions or collaborate on workshops. And then, of course, on the episode resources below, I'll provide all the recommendations that you just listed earlier, plus your website and your social media for people to connect with you.
Super, Jenn, thank you so much for inviting. This was my first podcast ever, so I was so nervous.
I'm sure there'll be many more to come.
Yeah, so no, thank you so much. And yeah, we just rebranding everything actually because learned what works and what was not. So now breathrise.org is rebranded. I think the new website is out in pretty much in a week. We're gonna have some breathing store where we're gonna introduce new nose strips and the new breathing tools. So the website is the first line of contact. We have our email and everything there, or we have Breathrise Instagram. So yeah, and if anybody would like to get in touch or partner up even, you know, like we want to build a community. It's not a business what I want to, like make money out of and then build in that way. I think we want to create a community and a movement. So if anybody wants to share their story because they have similar, then we are very happy to collaborate. And if somebody needs our story to be told or practiced, then I'm very happy to jump online or in person as well. I still travel a lot in Asia, so I'm pretty sure we can catch up somewhere.
Sounds good.
Super.
So I think that's a wrap for today. So thank you for sharing your journey and your story. And we have to keep an eye out for your space and see how it develops and grows. So
thank you, Jenn.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for the work. What you do? It's amazing.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.
That's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening to Curito Connects. For more Connects content, collaborations, and discoveries set to inspire you on your own individual journey, please head to our website at www.curito.co. Until next time, stay inspired and thank you for joining us at Curito Connects.